All right, let's bring back our powerhouse panel of the day. Former Special Assistant to President Trump, commentary editor at the Washington Times and Newsmax contributor Kelly Sadler, and best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin. And we'll welcome back also Project 21 National Advisory Board member and radio talk show host Christopher Arps. Good morning, folks. Thanks for being with us.
Morning.
So the vice president, we have a global emergency here. We have an emergency at the southern border, and the vice president has been sent to Southeast Asia. She is in Singapore as the Biden administration has been criticized pretty roundly for the situation in Afghanistan and how it has handled it. The vice president meeting with Singapore officials and she's defending the White House. Do we have some sound there? All right. Well, okay. So we don't have any sound from the vice president. Oh, actually, we do. All right. Let's listen.
We discussed the importance of working together to end this pandemic, but also to prevent future pandemics. Singapore's approach to managing the pandemic has been commendable, but we all must do more to not only end the current pandemic, but to invest in what we know will be more. From day one, President Biden has been clear about the importance of vaccinating people in the United States against COVID-19 and our commitment to being an arsenal of vaccines for the world.
An arsenal of vaccines for the world. Mark, do you think that it's curious that in the middle of this emergency situation in Afghanistan, deteriorating situation, that the vice president would be over in Southeast Asia talking about COVID-19?
Well, the trip was obviously previously scheduled, and they don't want to change the subject. Don't want to not change it, try to change the subject to other things. She did get asked about Afghanistan quite a bit during her press conference, and she gave what is not just this administration's spin, but any administration facing something like this, which is to say, well, sure, we'd like scrutiny, we'd like investigation of our actions and our behavior and our conduct and our performance, just not right now. And I think you're going to continue to hear that from the administration. It echoes what was said on the Sunday shows as well by the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor. They want to focus on the metrics of the people they're getting out of the country now, rather than on the decision-making process.
Mm-hmm. It does seem, though, that she is being kind of removed from a lot of the activity when it comes to dealing with this situation. We talked about a poll that came out. An NBC News poll showed that Biden is now basically even, though a little upside down in terms of his personal rating, in terms of his overall approval rating. But the big story coming out of this poll are the numbers on independents, and that's where these elections tend to be won. April, Biden was at 61. He's now at 46. He was at 60 in terms of his overall approval rating. Now he's at 45. And the generic ballot for Congress among these independent voters has swung 15 points in favor of Republicans. Kelly, and again, we were talking about what might happen on Capitol Hill this week. Those are pretty staggering shifts in terms of a very, very key voting bloc. Your comments?
Yeah, I mean, and they've been very quick as well. And if you look at the NBC poll, 63% of Americans don't have a favorable view of this country moving forward. They have a pessimistic one. And that is all bad news for Joe Biden and his agenda. Listen, I think this all comes down to competency. This is something that we were arguing on the campaign, that Joe Biden simply is not fit for the job. Well, now we have a real world example where Joe Biden has utterly screwed up, mismanaged, and caused a humanitarian and catastrophic calamity over in Afghanistan. The fact that he said that we might leave people behind, and there was even a question that we were going to leave Americans behind. The fact that his administration cannot definitively say how many U.S. citizens are currently in Afghanistan. How do we even know if it's mission accomplished if we don't even know who is in the country, and we don't have accurate numbers of them? Now you're seeing visas being slow walked and slow processed for those interpreters and those, in the Afghan army that helped us, and their lives are in jeopardy. ISIS is resurging. This is just an incompetence that the American people had a suspicion of, but are now seeing in full display.
Chris, to you on that point, how much of this is sort of caught up in the fact that people are seeing and feeling a sense of weakness and uncertainty, or even that maybe, you know, he's not quite the guy running the show when they're answering these polling questions and they're watching this president's performance? Your thoughts?
I do. I think people are seeing what's going on the border. We talked about that earlier. His poll numbers were dropping because of the border. Now Americans see the feckless foreign policy that we have, that we look weak. We have China that is taunting us, telling Taiwan that the United States is probably not going to help you if we come and invade you. You know, the president is losing big time under moderate voters. And I think he and President Trump are the first presidents to be at below 50% for the first time in 8 months of their presidency in probably 60, 70 years. So this is a bad situation for them.
Yeah, people are really looking for presidential leadership here. They're really kind of starving for it. And that gets to my question. I've got about a minute and a half, so we need to keep the answers short. But who won the weekend, folks? Kelly, I'm going to start with you. Who won the weekend?
Who won the weekend?
Yeah.
I would say Captain, Governor Cuomo's dog, who was reportedly left behind at the governor's mansion.
No.
And yes,
I hadn't heard that.
He's looking for staff to take over Captain. He's just too much of a liability. That's good news for Captain. He needs to get away as fast as he can for such a horrible human being.
He was the ultimate. Then he really was the ultimate political prop. That poor dog. Mark, who won the weekend?
U.S. military in the face of failure by policymakers, American forces on the ground in Afghanistan performing extraordinarily well in adverse conditions, evacuating lots of Americans, lots of others. And
God bless our troops. Chris, who won the weekend?
Donald Trump, clearly, and I think many Americans are asking, do you miss me yet?
All right.
For saying that.
Thank you to our Powerhouse panel. We're going to see you guys after the break.